Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Susan Walker. I'm the Keeper of Antiquities at the Ashmolean. I'm very much the third choice of speaker for the Greece Gallery. Anya Ulbrich, whom I think you have on your programmes, is actually on leave in Cyprus at the moment. And the curator, Alexandra Sofroniev, has unfortunately been taken ill. I'm sure she'll recover soon, but this is why I had to step in very much at the last minute, and I don't even have Alexandra's PowerPoint. Before I get into Greece, I'd just like to ask Stephen, I know we're not allowed to ask questions, but Stephen, you are selling the glasses of the good bit of Geek is Good. I see, really, I just want a pair. I just thought they're hugely marketable. So the question is, why are we making an intervention in the Greece Gallery so soon after the Ashmolean redevelopment was completed? And the reasons are complex, but basically in the sequence of the installation of galleries, the ground floor came last for logistical reasons, and we frankly ran out of time and money. The curator, Michael Vickers, was very close to retirement, so was not able to make adjustments soon after the opening as might have been expected. And what has happened recently is that the financial situation is not quite as dire as it was in the middle of the Great Recession, and we have some funding from the Limbury Trust, which is helping us reorient the gallery, which was very focused on classical Athens. And so what we're trying to do in this redevelopment of it is to give a wider presentation, a coherent presentation of the history of Greece, filling a gap between the end of the Greek Bronze Age, which is displayed in the adjacent Aegean gallery, and expanding into the Hellenistic at the other end of the time spectrum. So we have one wall delivering the history of Greece and focusing on cities that were not in the limelight before, like Corinth, Sparta and Thebes. And then on the opposite wall, on the east wall, we do the geography in, I think, a rather more structured way, giving a sense of the much wider Greek world. It's much bigger than the modern nation state, of course. And then in the centre, we look at themes within that overall spectrum. Also in the two big cases at which you see at the top right of the slide. So we're also redoing the lighting, the colour scheme, creating more wall space and trying to make a space that's inviting and elegant, a place to linger in. And I should say this is a very difficult space to use as a gallery. It's what I call a leaky space. Basically you can see too much of the rest of the museum. It's a kind of corridor, and it's very high, this room, which again is distracting if you're trying to get people to look at objects in showcases. And the reason for that is that this gallery is one of two that has to connect the new building of the Ashmolean with the Cockerell building to the south. And therefore the ceilings had to be the same height as the Cockerell gallery ground floor ceilings. So you can see far too much. As a staircase, it's too high, and it's hard to capture people's attention. So the redesign is going to deal with that too. Just to work very briefly through these areas within the gallery, this is a detailed design for the west wall, and you see a bit of the process of designing. A huge amount of work has gone into this, as I'm sure you'll all know, before you get to this stage. Even so, the designer has marked up various issues that need to be dealt with. And the same story on the east wall, where points to notice have been marked up. As I said, the central display deals with themes, some of which were there before. The symposium, for example, which you see on the right, worshipping the gods was not, I mean, the act of worship was not treated before, so that is a new introduction. And we've also been able to single out a couple of really important objects. So this is the Shoemaker vase, which is perhaps the most famous of the painted Greek vases in the Ashmoleans collection, and gets its own showcase as part of a display on craftsmanship in ancient Greece. This is a wonderful case. I got in awful trouble for doing this. I really did. I got absolutely lambasted by the experts on Greek lekythoi, or oil flasks, of which there are 179 on display in this showcase. So I'm afraid I had Sir John Boardman on my tail over this, and I said, well, let's go and stand up at the top of the stairs. This showcase appears at the bottom of the flight of stairs that were on that plan we saw earlier, and just watch to see what visitors do. And they're very taken with this. It's very theatrical, and they go racing down the stairs to have a look. And because the objects are all the same shape, they're actually very easy to register in the brain, and it's then easy to take in that you've got black figure, white ground, and red figure lekythoi displayed in groups across the case. And they take in some really introductory information on techniques and then use that to look at vases in more detail in the Greece gallery. So I was very keen to keep this, and it will be kept with a revised graphic that gives more contextual information. You see a drawing of it on the right, and some key lekythoi brought out to the front of the case. Just a quick run through things that weren't there before, amazingly. Palace to Polis, Corinth and Sparta, Hellenistic Greece, looking at the John Beazley, the discovery, recognition of Greek vases, and a critique of his method, the Greeks in southern Italy, Emporia, these trading posts across the Mediterranean, East Greece as a region, worshipping the gods I've already mentioned, heroes and myths as a theme, epic as a theme, some sculptures that have not been on display before, some of which are on long-term loan to the museum, so introducing some really famous Greeks like Demosthenes, Thucydides and Homer, proper gem display, text, inscriptions, and very importantly casts of the Heroonoptrisa in southwest Turkey at the high level of the room, which will help give a sort of crossing cultures flavour to the gallery, because this is a culture that impinges on the Greek world but is also a marginal area of the Persian Empire, and has its own Lycian identity as well. So we hope the gallery will work better as both in terms of structure and in terms of delivering the Ashmoleans' overall gallery concept of crossing cultures, crossing time. And it should be there by the end of October. So we're very much looking forward to seeing you in it, and we hope that those of you who use our galleries to teach will find this a great benefit. Thank you.